Yes, that's very wise.
Like when we went on our cruise over the last week, I don't know where I'm going. I don't have no tickets for the last week. I don't. I'm just following her myself to the airport wherever they go. Get it out. Just get my kid. Just talked to Mr. Lubon lately. Oh, I was with him. Doug and Sue. There was a bunch of families. How you doing? So, well, and I thought the bummer is it's not. It's going to shut it down for a while, but I think we're getting mixed bags.
Yeah, I can do that. I think. I think we own those times.
Oh, yeah, because there's no cargo.
I didn't either, and that's why I told
Not yet. The road is.
that's all you brought me saying.
Yeah. Okay. You're more than willing to share if you want. Yeah, we got an email.
Well, Dr. I got to ask, how do you get in?
Amber was already complaining.
So that's what I heard.
Well, when I started hearing it,
I'm
Forever.
He's something else, man. I think he's gregarious to say the least. I mean, he's got a sailor, but he was telling Marty. Yeah. Let's do another hour. Let's do another hour. This may be like I went to that, called me you have to go along with that. I'm going to refer you to Michigan.
yeah. But that's like the spot.
I don't even need to exam you. Come with your he said, do it later or do it now. Let's do it. So I'm excited about it. It's going to shut me down. I struggled that a little bit. I never really got into the weeds with that. Some people see some people see it's a big deal because they would have taken it closed up.
They're there. Yeah, they started every day. Well, yeah, where else? You know where else?
All of a sudden, I went from nothing to I just everything seems to become
well. They moved.
Our yard is a lot higher.
She makes it.
He's still downtown, he's
Oh, cool.
Go check out the office. Yeah. Check out the office. He's like, over there, and he's heading down. Yeah, we have. No, I hope I turned to
I do. I made sure I did that before I came in. I'm good if I do.
Audience today. All right, it is 6:30. I call to order. Kim, you got roll call?
No, they cannot. Yes, I do.
Okay, good deal. In front of you is approval of April 9th, 2026 agenda. What's your discussion?
I'll move the agenda.
We have a motion on the floor. Any support?
Second.
We got a second on that. Any discussion?
Who seconded?
Okay.
Okay.
And where we at? Discussion? Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor with an aye?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. In front of you is the minutes from the regular meeting held on March 12th of 2026. What's your discussion on this?
I will move the minutes as if.
We got a motion or move the minutes as is? You don't need a second that, do we? Or do you?
Sport.
Yeah, we got support with that one. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor with an aye? Aye. All those opposed, seeing none, motion carries. All right, right now, we will open it up for public comments. This is when you have public will have an opportunity to address the commission. You will have 3 minutes, that is timed, and we will time it, so I guess I will open it up for public comments. State your name and address, right?
Yes, please, or sign the
Yeah, or the sign of the sign-in sheet.
both.
All right. Oh, we got one right there.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I think I beat somebody else just to it. It is a public meeting, I guess that's why we're here. When I saw on the agenda, or heard about being on the agenda,
Excuse me, your name and address.
I'm sorry, Stuart Eddy.
Yep.
I'll sign.
Yep, no worries, go ahead.
As I try and talk at the
Yep.
same time. Multitask, right? When I saw or heard about the rezoning of the potential of it anyway, of the Polar Palace, the first thing that came to mind was not another one. I don't see a need for yet another marijuana processing facility, whatever they're gonna be doing there. Lapeer does not need another one. Everywhere we look, there is a retail outlet, a facility doing whatever they do with marijuana. Years ago, it wasn't even a thing. Somehow, it's come into play where it's some kind of medicinal, help for certain people, and maybe it is. But I would suspect that a lot of it is just used for recreational use, and marijuana, I think, has been proven to be a mind-altering drug. And for the most part, from my standpoint anyway, from where I come from, it's not necessary. There's plenty of medical help that can be gained by people that need it and not using mind-altering drugs to get it. Again, to rezone property just so another marijuana facility of whatever type could move in will just open the door for others that want to do the same thing. Lapeer has plenty. There's plenty of opportunities for people to get what they might need if they need it. Already open everywhere you look, up and down Main Street, up and down 21. We don't need it anymore.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Geraldine Carson. I live in Lapeer Township. I have been a resident of Lapeer my entire life. My family has resided here in Lapeer area for well over 100 years. I heard about this, and I have spoke on this before, and I will continue to speak. I live on Myers Road. I am northeast of all the grow stations and all the stores along M21. They're within a mile of my house. I cannot work out, I have asthma. I cannot work out in my yard. I cannot open my windows most days because of the odor. And I strongly urge you, please, do not do this to the other end of town. We have plenty here. Lapeer is gonna be known as marijuana town. Or is that gonna be the next thing? Are we gonna rename Lapeer because of all of the facilities we have here in a mile radius? I voted for legalization of marijuana for medicinal purposes. I've been a nurse for I've lived in my house over 50 years and nursed for over 50 years. And I'm telling you that it has a lot of benefits, and I will not dispute that because of treatment that I have given in the hospital when I nursed. Marinol, which is an artificial marijuana for people with nausea and things like that, and was undergoing chemo. But enough is enough. Like I said, my family still reside here. We have been residents here for over 100 years. This is not helping Lapeer. We need other options besides marijuana and grow stations. And the smell is horrendous. I can't even go up and pump gas. Most days when I pump gas, all I smell is marijuana. And like I said, with my health issues, and I have neighbors and other people that have health issues, and with it being on that side of town, it's gonna blow over into Rolling Hills. There's a lot of senior citizens in that, because that's northeast of the Polar Palace. That is gonna affect those elderly people. And there's also Ivy Terrace. Those are all seniors. They're gonna smell that and all the time. And I asked you, please, not to do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just want to clarify, is somebody up there doing the timing?
Yes, that was that alarm right there was the 3.
I thought so, I just wanted to
Yeah,
clarify, thank you.
Kind of a funky sound.
All right, any more public comments before we close? Public comments. All right, seeing none, I will close public comments. All right, now in front of us is a public hearing of rezoning of 3301 Davison Road, B2 to I1. Take it away, Wade.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. As mentioned, this is a rezoning request to change the zoning from B2 to I1 by the applicant and owner Hani Kassab Jr. The parcel in the aerial map, as you see here, the parcel is highlighted in green. It is located to the east-northeast of the roundabout at Lake Nipissing Road and Davison Road. Subject property, according to the zoning map, you can see is B2 zoning, and the surrounding properties to the south is property in Elba Township. Then you have a mix of other B2 parcels and residential parcels zoned across the street. And you have some I2 to the south and east of this particular parcel in tonight for the hearing. The future land use map, again, the parcel is highlighted in the green circle. It is designated as general business commercial, and you can see in the map that all the immediately surrounding properties are also in that same classification as general business commercial. You have, of course, the Elba Township portion to the south, which in consult with their maps and their ordinances is also planned for commercial development as well. So this parcel is specifically surrounded essentially by the commercial general business future land use classification. So as we know, there are certain standards for zoning map amendments or rezonings, and that the city must find that one of the following is true. One, the requested amendment is in compliance with the city master plan, or that a mistake in the plan or changes in conditions or city policy has occurred relevant to the request. Or the second is that the property cannot be reasonably used as it is currently zoned, and the proposed request represents the most suitable alternative zoning classification based on the city master plan. So diving in a little bit deeper to these two criteria, the first one with compliance with the city master plan. As we went over, it categorizes this parcel as commercial general business. There have been prior rezonings for this parcel. In 2019, a request to change from B2 to I1 was granted. In 2024, the request by the current owner came before the city to rezone from I1 back to B2. And now, tonight, we're asking to change the zoning of the parcel from B2 back to I1. I went through the adjacent parcels. The classification corresponds to the B2 General Business Zoning District, and therefore staff's comments is the requested rezoning is not consistent with the city's master plan for the future land use map. Now, as we look into the second standard, the one about reasonable use of the property is suitable alternative zoning classification, is returning to I1 the best and most suitable course for this property. The existing B2 zoning classification does allow for a wider variety of permitted uses than compared to the I1 district. In fact, the past uses of this parcel include a variety of commercial business operation, and in 2024, the current owner requested the rezoning to B2 to develop the parcel for community center and retail shops. Staff finds that the reasonable use of the property as it is currently zoned is viable based on past uses for this parcel, and would remain compliant with the city's master plan under the B2 zoning. Based on the information, the request does fail to meet both review standard number 1 and review standard number 2 as we reviewed those, and therefore staff encourages the Planning Commission to recommend denial of the rezoning request to the City Commission.
Thank you, Wade. Any questions to Wade before we open up public hearing? Also, I don't know who the applicant is, here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm one of the partners.
Okay, no worries. I was just wondering if I'll give you a time to speak first. Any questions for Wade?
I have a quick one. With the rezoning application, at the bottom, it says a concept plan should be provided. I didn't know if that was needed for this, or what that looked like for this request.
It's an existing site, and there wasn't proposed changes to the site, so we did not require the concept plan to be submitted.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Good deal. No other questions. I will open up the public hearing scheduled, and I will let the applicant speak first, or you can speak last, whatever one you want. Good deal. No worries. Perfect. All right, open up the public hearing. This time you do still have 3 minutes to address the City Commission if you would, or Planning Commission if you would like to. And it's a hard stop at 3 minutes. So if anybody would like to address us, you can stand and state your name and address, and you can address us. Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Do I need to write in first?
That's fine. You don't need it. Just give me until you start talking.
Good evening. My name's Tim Denny. The first 25 years I worked in the city of Lapeer, I remember it as clean, beautiful parks, very few unpleasant odors. After the last few years of the city approving an avalanche of marijuana businesses, it saddens me that the city often smells like a skunk hole. Recently, I was in another state and I was taking a walk with a 4-year-old member of my family, and we walked past a building that had obvious marijuana smells. I said not a word. She looked at me and she shook her head and she said, "There's a lot of skunks in there." if my 4-year-old family member can figure out that widespread marijuana odors can make your community smell like a skunk, so can we. We're in a hole. We have dug a big hole with all the businesses that we approve for marijuana. The time is to stop digging. We need to stop approving marijuana odor generators that can't keep their odors on site. And we need to stop believing the property owners with their false promises that they can hold the odors on site. Some have said, well, it's a marijuana processing facility, not a grow facility. Well, you need to remember two things. First, marijuana processing facilities also cause bad odors in the community as well. That's what the literature shows. More importantly, rezoning to industrial makes a grow operation a permitted use. Understand something, the petitioner is not legally bound to only use the building for the proposed use listed in the rezoning. They can use it for whatever is permitted in this zoning district, which includes grow operations. The best reason for rezoning denial is that it is blatantly inconsistent with your master plan. Your city planner came to that conclusion. I agree with his analysis that if it's inconsistent with the master plan, they haven't met any one of the standards that's required in order to still approve the plan. This proposed marijuana use would be amidst inconsistent uses. There are 2 large medical offices to the east. There's a dental office to the north. Downwind, there's an elementary school with a large daycare with an outdoor playground. You're gonna have kids playing in industrial marijuana odors. If there's anything the old Lapeer Co-op facility taught us, and that is trying to mix these intense marijuana industrial uses with even general business district is inconsistent. After 30 years of advising Lapeer municipalities about zoning law, I have learned a number of things, including this. If you rezone parcels inconsistent with your master plan, you destroy the integrity and defensibility of your zoning ordinance. When it goes in front of the judge is going to say, if you won't honor your master plan, why should I? If the rezoning is approved, honestly, we should change the welcome sign to say, welcome to the city of Lapeer. Pay no attention to the skunk smell. I don't want a welcome sign like that, and I don't think you do either.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I've never done this before, so.
Don't, just talk. It's good. Just, you're talking.
All right.
That's all you're doing.
My name is, signed in here.
Yeah. We'll start you when you start. Go ahead and sign in. You're good.
My name is Ben Eminger. I live in Andrews River subdivision. I am involved with several youth sports organizations. I have 2 young children. I guess my biggest question is that I know the Polar Palace at one point in time was talked about being Smith's Arena. I know that we were all very excited about that. Is that something that's been, I don't know if I can even ask that, but I want to ask, is that something that's?
From this, I can't answer that per se, but from the sounds of the rezoning, I don't think that's what the plan is anymore.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
So,
Oh, okay.
thank you.
All right, any more address the commission? All right, seeing none, if the applicant would like to address anything, if not, you too.
Hello, my name is Jason Ambrose. So to talk about the Smith Arena that was supposed to propose there, they kind of went dark on us. We did lease it out to them. We spent, I don't know, $700,000 in tenant improvements, fixing the parking lot, what have you. We were excited about them being our tenant, and unfortunately, we had some legal issues with them and whatever, so that no longer happened. Now, and that's when we rezoned it to the arena. Now we want to zone it back to a processing center, so there won't be cultivation there, there won't be that smell. In the ordinance, there is rules and regulations for us to make sure we litigate the odor, which we all do. You know, we plan to bring on 100+ jobs to that facility, which, you know, is going to benefit the city in general. And yeah, I'm here to answer any questions or anything you guys have for me as well.
Thank you, sir.
If you want me to stay up here, I can, or for...
Well, anybody have any questions for the applicant? I mean, I can open that up to right now.
And by the way, I know we zoned this before and then we zoned it back. I apologize. We're just want to move forward and get it rezoned back to what it was before.
Understandable. All right, any questions for the applicant? I see none. If one comes up, you're the applicant, so I'll gladly answer
Thank
one
you.
for you. All right, any more public hearing? Yeah, this is the public hearing part. All right, seeing none, I will close public hearing and open for commission discussion. Any questions or thoughts or concerns or? My thing is really, I was a part of the first one, I was a part of the second one, now this is the third one coming to us. I look at this in a couple different ways. There's been a lot of industry that comes in, and you can agree or disagree with the industry, but that industry has redone and rebuilt buildings and made buildings nicer. That building is becoming an eyesore in the city, and there's, for obvious reason, it's been abandoned for quite some time. Hence why we rezoned it one way, hence why we rezoned it another way to appease the business that wants to go in there. But going back and forth is not really my thing. We obviously had it was zoned industrial for a while. It butts up to industrial. I know there's that area right there is definitely an interesting sliver of the city, with it being so close to Elba Township and then a golf course, and obviously dental and medical and the school, Trails of Oakdale, all the above. But then on the caveat is if you have an abandoned building rotting away, when you could have had a tenant, that's your up and down there. So that's kind of where I'm at, so it's kind of my thoughts on it, on how that area is, that building is.
I'd like to make a comment about it. And I, too, understood some of the wisdom of initially, because, there was some buildings that were dilapidated, and it certainly rescued them, and it seems that the odor issue that we were having, maybe just one or a couple locations, but nonetheless, living in this town, living 2 blocks north, I can smell it when we open the door today. So that's my biggest concern, if we're truly doing what we're up here supposed to do, we're supposed to represent the people, it's not my personal opinion, right? So, if I'm making a decision, it's not gonna be for me personally, it's gonna be for what the community wants, and I think that's what we need to stick to.
Mr. Chair, may I make a
Yes.
comment? Thank you.
Manager Womack.
I just want to make sure that it's clear that the board is making determinations based upon the standards within the law, which is whether this is a viable piece of property for some other use, such as a Smith Arena, which at least up until recently was a viable option. And while there is intense community concern about the potential for a marijuana business or marijuana odor, it is not really something that should be entering the decision-making process that you guys are engaged in.
Well, I wouldn't say I was referencing that as part of the bigger picture, but what I try to do is follow the master plan and the recommendation of the staff.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mary?
Yeah, I just, to piggyback on what Mr. Womack had said, I think staying focused on exactly the criteria in which we're forming our opinion on, and I think the most compelling argument, which was actually made not just by Mr. Burkholder, but elaborated upon by Mr. Denny, is that the future use because we have 2 maps here. We have one currently, and then we have an anticipated future land use here, according to our master plan as well. And that is anticipated not currently, but also in the future to be general business. That's what it currently is, and I think Mr. Denny's addition to that argument that if we won't honor our own land use according to our own master plan, then it becomes indefensible in court when we have zoning issues. I think that's a very significant factor to consider at this point, and we might have already kind of muddied that up a little bit by swapping back and forth already contrary to our master plan. So that's something to consider, and I think that that's a very significant one. Oh, and a clarification, I wasn't quite sure what you meant by it butting up against industrial.
Right here, so right on the bottom portion of the corner. Well, so I take that back because it does not technically butt up. It's like property away from butting up to John Conley.
Yeah.
So That street right there is the medical complex, and underneath that is John Conley,
Yeah.
so.
That's the clarification I was looking for.
Yep,
Yep, thank you.
no worries. Yes, Commissioner Rossi.
I'm just looking at the standards, and when I look at the standard, as indicated by our planner, it doesn't comply technically with the city master plan. And actually, it's I-2 that is the gray area, it's not an I-1. So an I-1, rezoning it to I-1 would not be consistent with the master plan. And I don't think there's any evidence here that we could not, it could not be reasonably used as a B2 zoning district. So I don't think it meets either standard. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Thank you. Any more? All right, well, what's the commission's decision here? Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion
All right.
to recommend to the city commission to deny the rezoning requested by Hani Kassab Jr. for 3301 Davison Road, from a B2 general business district to I-1 industrial district because the request fails to meet the standards in section 7.23.06, parens B, for approval of a rezoning.
Support.
All right, we have a motion and support on the floor. Any more discussion? Seeing no discussion, we will all vote with an aye or a nay. All those in favor of the motion with an aye?
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. All right, so on to F, site plan reviews. We have about 1,000 of them tonight, right? We got a lot more on the agenda than that. All right, old business, rezoning of 1134 South Main, 1146 South Main. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll give it a second. Was this one last month? Is that what it was? 1146 South Main and the vacant South Main parcel R1 to PUD, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Good deal. Take it away, Wade.
So this request was discussed last month for a rezoning change from R1 to planned unit development. There are three approximately 150 by 600 feet in length parcels next to the Coldwell Banker and across from Whitney Insurance, across from the Orchard Drive intersection with 24. The discussion last month really centered somewhat on the zoning map and the future land use map for this parcel. The current zoning, as you see, is R1. However, when we get to the future land use map, being as this parcel was annexed at some point within the time from when your last master plan was done till today, and therefore there is no future land use classification on this parcel itself. You can see along 24 there are quite a few parcels that are commercial general business, and in my analysis, my logic was that would continue down into this area. So given that there was under number 1, a change in the conditions of the future land use map, that this would be a favorable request to come before the board of permitting a commercial planned unit development request. We'll get into the individual uses here in a minute, which kind of further wrinkles the scenario here. But that was condition number 1. Standard number 2 is that the property cannot be reasonably used as it is currently zoned. It's currently zoned R1, and along this corridor, an R1 development might be difficult as it's a major corridor. So there are, in my professional opinion, better uses that could go on this parcel, such as commercial uses. So that plays into my recommendation as to what you'll see in a few minutes. Also, when we're talking about planned unit developments, there's a good number of other conditions, A through H. These are in your packet. I'm not gonna necessarily read these. If we wanna go back and visit one of these, we certainly can. But these also must be part of your consideration when rezoning to a planned unit development. During last month's meeting, we saw this concept plan show a storage facility as well as multifamily residential development, which in further conversations with the applicant, I explained to them that those may not be the most favorable uses. You may steer towards looking at more commercial uses, and so they removed those two particular uses from this request. The one thing that has remained is the gas station, fueling station with mini market / drive-through. However, in this plan, they've also planned for semi-truck parking in the rear, which is a very highly intense use in terms of traffic, idling, potential negative impacts to the surrounding property. The surrounding property to the west is in Lapeer Township. It is zoned rural, non-farm residential, and so that truck stop use would be abutting directly up against a residential portion of the Lapeer Township plan. This being a concept plan, we don't have a lot of detail with regard to buffering, screening, but when it gets to, should this be approved as a PUD, the site plan process would get into the details of the buffering and screening along that parcel. That entire bottom half of the concept plan is proposed as a phase 1 portion of this development. Phase 2 is in the upper right, which is a retail center, and then behind that is a restaurant pad, sit-down restaurant, standard restaurant operation. So those are the proposed uses of this site. When looking at standard number 1, I mentioned that the future land use map does not show these parcels. And the adjacent subject parcels to the north and east are classified as commercial general business, and this classification corresponds to the B2 general business zoning. The requested map amendment is not specifically referenced, and therefore I find that this would be a change in conditions as described above. And in my analysis, the request does appear to meet the intended vision of the M24 corridor, which is situating more of a commercial use and commercial parcels along that corridor instead of the R1 residential single family. Again, this goes to, is the property, can it be reasonably used as it's currently zoned, and as proposed represented the most suitable alternative zoning classification based on the city master plan. Again, I mentioned R1 single family district is what it's currently zoned. That's going to be difficult along this corridor and probably not the best intended use for this parcel. So phase 1, the gas fueling station, truck stop with mini market and drive-through restaurant. According to the zoning ordinance, service station for sale of gasoline, oil, and minor accessories is a special land use in B2. Drive-through restaurants are also considered special land use in the B2. The above uses I mentioned are all permitted uses in the I1. And the truck stop, the ordinance is vague on what a truck stop is. The one interpretation could be that off-street parking lot, being a facility providing off-street vehicular parking spaces and drive aisles for the parking of more than 3 vehicles, which is permitted in the B2. The other portion of the zoning ordinance is warehousing and wholesale establishments and trucking facilities is permitted in the I1 district. There is no definition of what a trucking facility is in the ordinance. The concept plan is very vague, so any future development, should this be approved in the end, would really have to go under high scrutiny under the site plan process itself. The phase 2 portion of this plan is the retail center. Retail uses vary. Some uses are permitted in the B2, while some retail uses are special land uses. Again, the applicant was not clear as to what specific uses they're wanting for this retail establishment. And then phase 3 restaurant, a standard restaurant is permitted in the B2 itself. And I want to remind everybody that in the ordinance, it states that all permitted principal uses by right or by special condition in any of the zoning districts may be permitted in a PUD district based on the standards, the long list that I glazed over, but it's in your packet. Uses permitted by special condition in another zoning district may be authorized as a use by right by the city commission in granting a PUD approval. So the option is there, should it be recommended and should the city commission agree, any of these uses, whether it be I-1 or special land use in B2, that can be requested as part of the PUD rezoning. Again, all of these uses still need to go through site planning, and the wording in the ordinance is uses permitted by special condition may be. So that's a decision for you all to make, is whether you would like to still require special land use for these conditions or for these uses, or just grant them by right as part of the PUD. So staff's finding is that a change in conditions did occur, being as this property was annexed into the city. It currently does not have a future land use map designation. My analysis is that the commercial property along 24 likely could carry onto this property. However, as it is not currently designated, that's something for you all to consider as well, as to whether you would like to look at that more closely before you grant uses on this parcel that actually determine what the future land use of this parcel should actually be, if not commercial. In my analysis, I found that the request appears to meet standards 1 and 2 of the zoning ordinance. Change in conditions has occurred, and additionally, the uses permitted under the existing zoning classification are not consistent with the overall corridor development, and therefore, my recommendation is for the Planning Commission to recommend approval of the rezoning request to the Planning Commission. Another option you all have is you can consider the PUD without a certain use. If you don't like one of the certain uses, you can say that it's approved without this use, if that is a concern to you. But based on the standards 1 and 2, I do find that they do comply, noting that there is some additional work that's going to have to be done through site planning and or special land use. But this may be a good opportunity to allow the applicant to proceed with plans and come into compliance when we look at more detail in the site plans. As there's a lot of detail that admittedly is not necessarily clear here with regard to what is a truck stop. Does the city want to look at this parcel and determine a future land use before granting any uses other than residential? So those are all questions to consider and discuss tonight. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Wade. My first thing that I thought about with this area is obviously it's R1. It's probably not going to be in the future. That's not necessarily what that area should be. The intense uses of a said area like that, you know, that's pretty big. That's pretty intense. But we can't look at it like that. I don't think we have to look at it at what is our future look at that area. You know, like Wade said, you would have to look at the special land use. You'd have to look at the site plan reviews and all that before that comes in, kind of thing. So obviously, with all that being said, I'm in favor of rezoning with you know, I'm obviously keeping the special land use in order, and that shouldn't be revoked off anything, you know, so it's kind of my outlook on it.
I have a question, I'm sorry.
Mr. Boston?
I have a question for Wade. So if we were to approve the PUD, the rezoning to a PUD without a specific, without uses, I mean, do we have to find something, do we have to state something to make that decision? I don't know if you know what I'm asking.
Parcel 1 is all considered as phase, parcel 1. Phase 1 is considered as all that property on the bottom of the screen. There does need to be a designated use for that back parcel. Or else there's going to have to be a PUD plan amendment that comes through in the future if they want to change any of these uses. So if you were to go that route and say we don't want the truck stop, then parcel 1 or phase 1 would be that mini storage gas station occupying that entire parcel itself to the south there. So if you exclude certain uses tonight, it's likely going to have to come back through another plan amendment when and if they want to develop that back portion for something else. So your approval would be, phase 1 would be the mini storage, I apologize, the gas station with mini market and drive-through restaurant, and that would be the use for phase 1 only. And if they wanted to come back and say we want to propose something else on that back parcel, they'd have to come through this whole process again.
Thank you for explaining that.
That actually clears a little bit up. Commissioner Patterson?
I have a real question, Wade.
Mr. Burkholder, you have a question?
Yes.
Question, and it goes to the intent of the PUD district. Okay, it says, the zoning district is intended to accommodate developments with mixed or varied uses. So first up, let's see, I don't think it can be used as an R1 district. I do believe it needs to be changed. But the zoning district is intended to accommodate developments with mixed or varied uses on sites with unusual topography or unique sittings within the community, or on land which exhibits difficulty or costly development problems, or sites that contain natural features such as wetlands or woodlots that are important for the city to retain in order to protect its character. This zoning classification shall not be granted where it is sought primarily to avoid the imposition of standards and requirements of other zoning classifications rather than to achieve the stated purposes herein set forth. And I agree, everything meets the R2 district, but does the property site itself meet any of those PUD requirements?
The unusual condition here is that there are 3 separate lots that are 150 by 600. So to develop each lot separately, you're going to be very restricted into any kind of commercial use on that long, narrow lot. You could do it, but the applicant is wanting to develop this property as a whole. So therefore, that's the unusual condition, is there's 3 separate parcels that are R1 that they're trying to develop cohesively into one commercial PUD development.
Get on that question then, if it were a PUD district, are the densities different than other commercial districts?
In a PUD district, you will still have to follow the requirements for landscaping, for parking, for buffering, all of that that's required per the code. The density, if you were proposing residential, you can essentially through a PUD set your density more or, well, typically more than what would be permitted under the underlying zoning, but there's no residential here. So the density is not really at play in terms of how they're proposing this site to develop.
Okay. One last.
Yes.
Is there any prohibition of them splitting the property into other parcels?
No.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder, I understand that part of the intent for this type of zoning is to combine those 3 lots because they're unusable as they are. But is it not feasible to also combine them through alternative zoning such as general business?
The option would be there for them to do lot combinations and configure the lots differently with an underlying B2, yes.
Okay. So there is an alternative to this particular request?
There would be.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Atwood.
Under 7-12.04 standards for approval, based upon the following standards, the Planning Commission may recommend denial, approval, or approval with conditions, and the City Commission may deny, approve, or approve with conditions the proposed planned unit development. The Section A, Mr. Burkholder gave us that list. The proposed mix of uses and density of residential uses shall be found to be consistent with the master plan. So the future land use map from the master plan shows the general area, surrounding area as B2. Under intent, 7-6.01 C, the B2 general district are designed to furnish locations for a wide range of businesses, including a variety of automotive services and goods incompatible with the uses and with the pedestrian movement in the city's traditional downtown CBD central business district. The B2 districts are characterized by more diverse business types and are often located so as to serve the passerby traffic. In D, the B3 regional business districts are designed to allow the development of retail establishments serving a wider regional trade area than would typically be found in the other zoning districts. B3 districts are characterized by intense traffic and traffic volumes generated by the wider trade area population. B3 district zoning designation is intended to restrict the location and number of regional retail establishments so as to not overload the city's thoroughfare system and further to limit the impact realized by the local commercial districts B1, B2, CBD, that they may result from saturation of immediate trade area. I guess my question with this PUD would be, how about the intense use of traffic going from R1 into a PUD with adding those?
It would definitely, it's a higher intensity of use. However, you're setting the PUD zoning, which can include uses from those other districts. But understand also that you do look at those negative impacts that could occur at this stage of the game. So I think if you are asking about uses in specific zoning districts other than B2, I think the PUD is an avenue where you can do that. If you wanted to look at the future land use map to potentially look to see whether this parcel should be, you know, some sort of lesser intense use, or study this parcel in more detail, that's something that's very real and viable, since it doesn't have a current future land use on it. But I do think with the PUD rezoning, it's essentially its own zoning district where you can put together different uses from different zoning categories. as the applicant sees fit, which they did here. Understanding that some of these other conditions in that list would also be something that would really be scrutinized at site plan. You know, we would be looking at traffic studies during that phase and so forth. But I do understand your question. There is some ambiguity in terms of uses here and the potential negative impacts they may cause. And in that situation, I would recommend let us, during this next master plan update, look at this parcel closely and try to see what would be possible on this parcel that would alleviate some of, you know, traffic, buffer and noise to surrounding properties as well. I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, I mean, there's a couple different directions I feel the planning could go. One could be denial because, I mean, I don't think it fits with the master plan. Not to disagree with you,
No, it's
but
fine. No, you're fine.
I said this last meeting too, I think, that I disagreed. But we could also postpone until the master plan, we're going through a master plan update right now.
Yep, right.
So, I mean, I guess it'd be the pleasure of the commission, planning commission, on what they would want. I'm leaning towards either denial or postponement until master plan is updated.
Yep, 1 second, we got more discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right, I'm sorry.
Thank you. But I'm trying to wrap my mind around all of it because this is like the first time I've been through this. But a PUD, like considering merging those lots together, I'm gonna start there. That's great because we don't want a bunch of drives coming off of 24. That's part of our M24 corridor plan, right? We want as few drives coming off of that road as possible to help traffic. What is that land going to look like? It's right next to I-69. It's going to be what, gas stations, food. That's what they're proposing. So I don't know if postponing this is fair for the landowner that wants to develop it now in a way that it would be developed, if you know what I'm saying. I don't have the experience now to say, oh no, let's not postpone, or let's do postpone. So I feel like I'm stuck a little bit in all the details of how this actually plays out. But I also wanted to bring up the fact that when we talked about this plan last time, it was the drive-through that we were a little bit unsure about, and obviously the residential that was on the land, or on the plan. So now the residential's not on the plan, we're dealing with gas station, drive-through, retail. So in my mind, my concern is the drive-through, because that was kind of a back and forth with, well, the master plan was saying we shouldn't have more drive-throughs through that corridor, if I'm saying that right. And then there was some back and forth with the city commission and planning commission and how that should be. And so in my mind, a PUD for this, if we could require the special land use for the drive-through, that seems reasonable, but I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Mary?
Thank you. One of my observations regarding the standards for consideration is number one, and that's the requested amendment is in compliance with the city master plan. This is something that Commissioner Atwood has already brought up at the last meeting and at this meeting as well. And I'm going to piggyback on that and say that I'm not convinced that it passes this qualifier in the first place, because as you've noted on your slides, Mr. Burkholder, that those particular parcels have been annexed in and they aren't zoned, or at least not planned to be zoned by our master plan quite yet for our future So it's kind of like this anomaly. And I'm not convinced that it meets that criteria because it would require that the city master plan has a future use designated, and we don't. So we're extrapolating what we think that use should be, and you attempted to at the last meeting as well, and there was some extrapolation that it should be general business, and I agree with that. But the facts of the matter are, it's not. It's not planned that way yet, and we need to get there before we make a decision. So, based on that, I don't think it meets the qualification to be approved, and I think I agree with Commissioner Brady that it's unfair to the property owner to keep postponing this at this point. My opinion is that it doesn't qualify for this particular rezoning because we have work to do before we can qualify it. And that's in some respects a little unfair, but it's less unfair than keep kicking the can down the road and leaving the property owner hanging. We have to make a plan. As Mr. Atwood has already pointed out, we do have that coming up. It's not like we're going to kick that can down the road, so it is on our radar. We're going to get that done, and then we can circle back around. It's my opinion that I don't think that we can approve this because it doesn't qualify at this time. But we need to get it to a place where it does qualify for consideration. And I think that would help the landowner come back to us with a proper zoning request, because it may be that we don't have it in our sites for a PUD, we might have it in our sites for a B2. And that would help the owner. And that classification, according to your earlier comment, allows them to do exactly what they want to do in terms of combining those parcels and finding a suitable use for them. So we need to get all those things in alignment first. I don't think postponement or approval is I'm not convinced that those are considerations at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Doug, I see you spinning there.
Spinning.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
I'm trying to understand what Mr. Atwood's argument is. I think I've got it just somewhat clear. It seems as though he's suggesting that the area surrounding this site is B2, but that due to the intensity of the traffic, I'm looking at the conceptual plan, it's about 20 semi-trucks and a drive-through restaurant and all sorts of things going on. Is he suggesting that it's perhaps more similar to a B3 or an industrial site? And that's perhaps why it's maybe not appropriate for a PUD?
Yeah, so the intent was, I feel like that area is going to be B2. I can't predict the future.
Yeah.
But B3 is the more intense use. And so I feel like that would be enough for denial if it is that intense of a use, as is not consistent with the master plan.
Okay.
Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, that clarifies my understanding. I think there's some other good arguments out there. I just want to make sure that yours was what I was understanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, semi-trucks is a whole nother.
Yeah, and my thought on that is it all comes back down to, once you get a site plan, then you have a traffic study. If a traffic study says that's just not possible, then that's just not possible. So we've done this multiple times. We have traffic studies, we'll send them out and go, we've done it. There's lots of places in our city that we'll go scratch our head on. And, getting it right, once that traffic study says that that's not possible, then that's not possible. I can't imagine turning left into there in a semi in 5 o'clock at night and have a couple people out there. But that's not, I'm looking at the big picture. I'm not looking at that as that. This is all what's being brought in. This is an idea. That's not, so I'm trying to bypass that out of my ear. I think we all do agree it does need to be rezoned. I absolutely agree that we should have the zoning in place before something comes in before us.
I'll make a motion.
Yes, go ahead.
I move to recommend to the City Commission denial of the presented PUD plan because it is not consistent with the master plan due to the expected intense traffic and traffic volumes generated by the proposed gas fueling station, truck stop, mini market, and drive-through restaurant.
Oh, right, we have a motion And support on that. You
You
got that?
supported that?
Mayor.
And you have that written down, Josh? You talked very
Yes.
fast.
Do you need it?
After.
What was that?
Not necessarily.
She's requested the writing after.
Oh, okay. All right, we have a motion, and do we have any discussion on that? Was there, need to be clarification on that motion? No, there should, no.
No, I'll get Josh's, I have it recorded and I'll get Josh's.
Okay, I don't want, yeah.
Are we allowed to talk?
Not at this, no. Not at
It's
this
the
one.
applicant.
Oh, applicant. Yeah, I guess, well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if I could get your attention. Mr. Atwood, you were reading from this right here, correct?
I think
No.
No?
No.
All right.
No, I'm under the understanding that this would more generally be B3, which is a more intense use.
Mhm. All right. Okay, yep.
You good with your
Not
support?
consistent.
Support?
No, I still support
Okay.
the direction that it's going. I just was trying to figure out what the exact wording was, as Kim was as well.
With the applicant being here, I will allow them to address, if you would do so, I would imagine.
Thank you.
Just, this is on our open discussion where, where it's not like, this isn't a conversation, but you can address us.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
My name is Haitham Hanawa, 28124 Orchard Lake Road, Suite 102, Farmington Hills, Michigan.
Make sure you sign in, please.
Yeah,
Afterwards.
Yeah, you're good.
Good evening, everyone. Our plan was not to have a truck stop here, as you guys all know. We kind of just said, let's get the best use out of this property, and this is what we kind of put up there.
Mhm.
Our main focus is a market with gas.
Mhm.
We kind of feel like the area supports it, but again, we don't mind doing a traffic study, because it might not work for us. It's not a cheap piece of property that we're investing in, and the project is very costly. So if it's not successful for us, obviously it's not good for the city. We're all here to do this together.
Absolutely.
Just want to clarify that, and we did want to do the apartments back there, but obviously that's not a good fit. My question is, the roadmap for the city is, would you guys have that roadmap to see if this is something that you guys want?
Without going back and forth, we are currently absolutely working on that right now as we speak. We actually have to go over a discussion. We're starting that tonight, actually.
As far as the retail part for phase 2 and the restaurant, we kind of want to do just whatever's suitable for the city and whatever tenant is interested in going there. We can't say, oh, we're putting a Applebee's when we don't have a lease signed with Applebee's. We can't say we're putting, a McDonald's when we don't have a deal signed with McDonald's. We're just trying to get the best use for this property. And honestly, so far, we thought we had good feedback from you guys, and we're looking forward to do business in the city. Any questions I can answer, and we'll like to answer.
Thank you.
I would like to say a few things about the project. From the intensity of this, it looks intense, but we're dealing with almost 7 acres.
Yeah.
So if you figure 7 lots across 24, there'd be all these developments. So if we've taken, the complexity here was, the constraints were, not constraints, but the complexity was you have this 450 feet by almost 600 feet deep. For us, the ideal would just be 300 feet deep, and we can put, the gas station and then the retail center. But what we've done, we've added an easement, a 30-foot wide easement that we could extend all the way to the back of the property. That this now could be developed into a more nicer development, 7 acres of commercial development. Maybe the feasibility study will come back and say the truck fueling is not good. But you got 69 there. It's nice to offer these truckers a place to rest, to shower, and to eat and to relax. It's a good opportunity for us to do that. But we label phase 1 as the fueling station. We label the retail center as phase 2. But once we get this moving, this might be all phase 1, because we're going to start marketing. We can't market it to Starbucks. I'm just saying this. I'm just going to McDonald's or all these national tenants. You guys throw so much at us. I'm trying to get everything, but the drive-through portion, a lot of sites, I do truly agree. that, drive-throughs don't work, but if you look what we've done here, we've created a tremendous amount of stacking behind the building to not jeopardize traffic on 24. So we have a tremendous amount of stacking for vehicles. There was a site on Big Beaver and Crooks in Troy where Starbucks went in and the city went again on the drive-through. That Starbucks is out of business. So for us to make this a very successful project, we have to look at national tenants that are gonna be there for 20, 30 years. We don't wanna just have like a mom and pop, coffee or restaurant or what have you, and then they go out of business and we have a vacant space. So the idea was this is to bring in these national tenants. Once we get this approved, we're gonna go to work with some real estate agents brokers to bring us some nice tenants into that retail center. We're looking at some national tenants, and that's what we're working on. So if you wanna get a picture of the site, it's gonna be developed as a 7-acre development. Maybe we get another restaurant chain that will go back there. And these are all like community spaces. It's like the community could go there, have dinner, they can go there, fuel, go into the market and buy things. It's not gonna be your just pop and chips. They have other markets, and you walk in there, they have a nice, grab and go, healthy food options, vegetables, fruits. It's a market where they sell, prepared foods and things like that.
More or less like a gourmet market.
Yeah, like a Whole Foods or something like that. It's not.
Yeah, there's no fresh meats though,
Yeah.
just a lot of grab and go concept, fresh vegetables, fresh fruits. Honestly, it's more of a market than a station, but these days the station is what draws the people to come in your store and spend the money. There's not much margin on gas, especially on the pier. There's like this cutthroat between the buyers and the Kroger and a couple other local guys.
Well, we've done also is like, if you look to where the truck parking is, we've left about 70 feet of non-developable. We could definitely go 100 feet if we wanted to, and we got plenty of space. This is a concept plan. If we did go into it, and once we get into it, it's not like we're gonna go to work right away. We're gonna start building this. Once we get approval, then we can start marketing it and get the proper tenants in here. At that point, we can come in and say, hey, we have this guy and this guy and this company.
Yeah. Mary, you have a question?
Have you considered the option of B2 zoning? And if you have, are there viable uses that you have in mind that you can use there?
I haven't seen all the uses for B2, but the important factor here is gonna be the drive-through.
Mm-hmm.
Is gonna be a very important factor. The reason I put the truck stop is because we thought about 69, the truckers can access it. We don't have multiple drives, we have 2 drives, one to come in and one to go out very easily. We have to create nice circulation within the site. We've also created some pedestrian paths with a bike, we've done so many of these, a bike rack for people coming in with a bike, what have you. But that was just an option because we couldn't do the residential.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as we're moving along, and like Wade said, that we're gonna come here and say, we would like to put ABC right here, for example. That, if you look at that drive that goes east and west there, that eastman that there is gonna be the main corridor for the entire development, whether you're going the buildings to the north or to the south.
Right.
And that's why we created that. So maybe we don't do that truck stop, we do a nice, we have to do like single-use buildings because
Mm-hmm.
retail centers, you have to have exposure off the road. They never work behind buildings. But that restaurant behind there is a destination. I mean, people know,
Right.
Leo's Comial is there, and so on.
The reason I ask is because I think that you're probably judging by the conversation at this point that might be a direction. There's no guarantee, we don't know how it's gonna go, but I think we do need to get that figured out first before we consider the zoning. And I want to set your expectations so that you have some idea of where it's heading and kind of do some expectation management, right? so we're not letting each other down, because this is already kind of a little bit unfortunate, and I apologize that we don't already have that worked into the master plan at this point, to where we can say, hey, this fits with the future land use and the zoning that we were anticipating. And unfortunately, we're not there. That's not your fault, that's our fault. And so we want to get there rather quickly. It is on our agenda tonight to actually kick that off today. And so I'm hoping to do a little bit of expectation management and hopefully open that dialogue and get your mind thinking about that. If you haven't gone down that road deeply, consider it, because I think that that might be more feasible moving forward. And you're right, the drive-through situation is very important, and I encourage you to continue to talk with staff and see what the options are to move forward. And possibly the motion on the table right now is to move a different direction, so possibly come back with something that works between all parties.
I agree with you.
We want to set you up for success.
I truly agree with you about establishing a zoning for it, and then we can work off of that. I did make a note on my iPad that the future B2, so I'm gonna be looking at B2. So, but again, we're gonna be looking at B2 and also some of the special land uses that go along with B2, like, for example, the drive-through. If it's gonna be in the B2, I don't know, but we're gonna look at it. So this is, I mean, we're gonna be doing a feasibility study on this, and we're gonna be doing a traffic study on this. And keep in mind that what we're doing too is, we have to go across the street to grab the water main, to grab the sanitary main. So now we're bringing it across the street, which is gonna make all the other businesses that wanna come there happen, because now we're bringing the water across the street. We're spending a lot of money on it, it's really a lot of money. So, what we're doing is, we're gonna enhance this area where people say, oh, I could buy the lot next door and I could develop it now.
There's gonna be a lot of energy to the area,
Yeah.
but.
So we know the budget to go across the street. Our engineer already contacted DPW, MDOT, you name it, every Eagle, we've contacted everybody to see what we have to do with this. So we have a narrative on that. I think we provided it to here, and our engineer has a bigger narrative from the storm, water, to sanitary. We're gonna bring this across the street, where now anything along there is gonna, because we're gonna stub it out where anybody can tap into it. We're not just gonna bring in a 6-inch line for us, we're gonna bring in a 12-inch line. If we're gonna do it, just gonna do it for, for everybody else on that side of the road. So this is everything that we're doing, so we need your help to accomplish some of the, to make this development successful.
Yes.
So just keep in mind, we don't currently own the property, we do have it under contract.
Yeah.
And we just have a certain amount of due diligence, we have hard deposits on the property, and a decision would be kind of better sooner than for everybody.
Absolutely, of course.
That's pretty consideration.
Just one more
Thank you.
question.
Yes.
When do you anticipate that we can come back when B2 is like?
It's a good question for our engineer and Mr. Womack, if he'd like as well.
Mr. Chair, if I could address it real quick.
Yes.
So at this point, this board is making a recommendation to the city commission. And the city commission then would have a number of options at their hearing, including accepting the recommendation, rejecting the recommendation, and sending it back to this board for further consideration. So the planning staff and I will take a look at all those options and give another recommendation depending on what happens today at the city commission.
And that is the next city commission meeting?
Whichever one you're eligible for.
It could probably go on the first one in May.
So,
Obviously, wouldn't make the-
3 weeks out. Ish. The May one, okay.
So are we gonna be able to do any of this without you guys' roadmap for the city, or?
Well,
Or are we just?
we're waiting on our master plan, essentially. We're writing the master plan, that's kind of where we're at right now.
So without the master plan, I feel like we're just spinning our wheels here.
That's where I kind of got from, with not necessarily, I don't like that way that's worded, but, yes, until it's zoned, there is nothing that can go about.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So while that is a decision that you guys could make, the decision that I heard today was that, at least by Mr. Atwood's motion, the anticipated master plan update will be a B2 zone. While that's not a guarantee, that seems to be with his motion. So I don't think it needs to get that far, but I believe that's the direction from the commission at this point.
I have a feeling that is the direction as well. So, yeah.
So we can't come back till like maybe June, right? We just wanna know so we can
Yep.
communicate with the landlord.
I would refer you to reach out to Wade probably tomorrow after this meeting, and he will give you all the details on
Thank you
that.
so much.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, we have motion on the floor and some good discussion on that, and we have support on that. Do we have any more discussion on this motion? And just so I'm clear, what was the motion again? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that again to you. To move to recommend to the denial, okay, the POD, because, okay. So we have a move to recommend to the city commission the denial of a presented PUD plan because it is not consistent with the master plan due to the expected intense traffic volumes generated by the proposed gas fueling station, truck stop, mini market, and drive-through restaurant. Okay, so that's the denial of the PUD and just written differently, and we have support on that. We have any more discussion? We are gonna vote with an aye. All those in favor with an aye?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
You have a one nay. The motion carries. All right. Now we are, fun stuff. Yes, money. So we are gonna go into our 2026 to 2032 capital improvement program. And you have your packet in front of you with all the good tabs. And this is yours, Mr. Womack, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I was getting used to Mr. Burkholder talking, and I'm enjoying that. So as the planning commission is aware, one of the requirements each year is that the planning commission make a recommendation back to the city commission regarding the first year CIP program. And so I have both the finance department and the planning and zoning department put this map together. It details all the major CIP program expenses that we expect for the upcoming budget that's going to be reviewed and hopefully approved by the city commission in the future. So after this, and of course, you guys know I like to riff a little bit, so if you have questions, I'd like to hear them so I can try to address them. But I will start about the upper left-hand corner. So that's more of a kind of overview of the various funds. I think it's important to show the public in particular the major expenditures that we have. And when I started here 3 years ago, one of the things I was told was the public wants the streets fixed. Streets and infrastructure, so that's what we've been doing. If anyone's been downtown recently, they know how much money we're putting into the parking lot number 9 project. And we've got just a number of other projects, including, I believe, the bridge on Genesee. Yep, bridge on Genesee, that's the other major expense that you're gonna see there. Parks and Recreation, the city does take good care of its parks, and public safety, another one of our huge ones. We love our police and fire. So immediately below that, any questions on that? No? Immediately below that, you see public safety. The 4 major CIP items to be planned for this year would be the heavy rescue vehicle. I believe that's one that's already paid for, but it's coming out of this year's budget. Which, by the way, I was talking to the fire chief from another community the other day, and he said that they're now looking at, I believe, 24 months lead time on all fire trucks. So I think we're 18 months in now since we authorized approval of this one, so we're still waiting on it. HVAC, $30,000, that's for the public safety building. The tasers and patrol rifles, we're required by law to replace our tasers every couple of years. I think it's a 5-year period. And I believe that's a $15,000 purchase over a period of years, so you'll see that in the next couple of years as well. Patrol rifles, the current standard that we have is there's 1 patrol rifle for each vehicle, and we're looking to add a few extra for a mass shooting event, so that even if you were not in a patrol vehicle, that you could stop by the police department and pick up a rifle. And then the bollard removal and installation, I will not name names, but somebody driving a very big truck may have hit a bollard at some point in front of the fire station, so we got to replace those. Going down to the next one, vehicles and equipment, you see the zero-turn mowers. We use those pretty intensely. We try to replace 1 or 2 of them every single year. A lot of hours get put on that equipment. Ingle blade for the cat loader, I believe that's for helping move snow and grading roads. Computer server replacement, it's shocking how expensive some of this computer stuff can cost, but I believe that, is it, do you know if that's 2 or is it just 1?
I do not know.
So I can follow up if you guys have questions about that, but we gotta replace some computer servers. Election equipment, state of Michigan tells us what we gotta do and we gotta pay for it. There is a vehicle set aside for the fire marshal vehicle. We do try to be pretty smart about our vehicles and we do lots of hand-me-downs as time goes on. You see a tractor loader there, a couple of pickup trucks for our street and wastewater treatment plant. Again, we're not, getting everything new all the time, but we do hand vehicles down as they age. Same thing with police vehicles. Some years we have 2 police vehicles we replace, some are just 1 year. This is 2 vehicle replacement year. And a chipper truck. Going over to the right here, parks, the Parks and Rec Master Plan, we're estimating to be $7,000. Rodney's usually pretty good about getting grant dollars, so we'll see. And then a chemical sprayer, that's for the various weed and herbicides stuff that we put under the park lawns. Over to the right past there, infrastructure and continuing initiatives. Traffic signal maintenance, again, those things are ridiculously expensive. I believe the least part of this is, if you guys pull up the intersections, you'll see these little red hockey pucks in the pavement. That's what we currently use, where it's an outdated system. I think we're trying to replace those with the overhead kind of traffic cameras. So we should see some improved, traffic lights in the city, better timing. Sidewalk repair and maintenance, that's an every year issue. We simply do not have enough money to take care of all the sidewalks in the city. So we throw $50,000 at it every year. Major street and local street improvements, $80,000. That's gonna be your smaller paving, emulsion, mill and fill if you can afford it. Going up from there, community center, cardio fitness equipment. I believe we spent $40,000 last year, replaced all the treadmills. I believe this is gonna focus on more of the bikes and some of the machines that the senior citizens love. Got all sorts of duct tape on a pool vacuum, that's to help clean the pool. The train depot, $13,000. Elm Street water main, I believe that's engineering for that water main project that's gonna be in the future. The Genesee Street reconstruction, that's gonna be part of the water main project on Genesee. If you guys weren't aware, the bridge project that we anticipate for this summer is gonna be pushed off into spring, summer of next year. We're hoping to maybe get those both done at the same time. That $4.3 million you see for the Genesee Street bridge replacement, that's almost entirely grant funded, which is awesome. Pope Street and Pine Street engineering, again, future projects we hope to tackle. 18 Nipissing Street, that's $200,000 that's been parked there by the city commission in hopes that we can get grant funding for the demolition. Current plan, while no final decisions have been made, is to demo that property and maybe put a public deck overlooking the river there. To be continued, the housing department's done some great work getting grants for there. Downtown sidewalk repair and maintenance, $50,000. The inclusive playground, that's something we continue to work with the Kiwanis Club on. The anticipation is that they're gonna donate that money to put their inclusive playground up at Rotary Park. I haven't heard from them in a while. I hope that they're in their end stages of obtaining grant money and donation for that. Wastewater treatment plant. I go out and ask these guys what this is all for, and I still don't quite understand it all. The motor control panels there, I believe that controls how the plant operates. Effluent pumps, building restoration, that's a lot of concrete work. The chemicals out there are pretty corrosive and it destroys the concrete. Lift station cellular, so the city currently uses radio to control their lift stations. And the new standard is to go to cellular. It's much more effective, and it doesn't result in many call-outs for the DPW guys at 3 in the morning. Influent gate valves, Triton aerators, and the lift station. I don't remember what lift station that is. Again, I can get you more information on which lift station that is if you want Let's see, what else am I missing? Court Street water main replacement. Again, we're just trying to hit all these various infrastructure projects. Cemetery tree trimming, $9,400. We've done that for a couple of years, and I think we're gonna do a couple more. Crampton parking lot resurface. If anyone's driven past there recently, the heavy trucks that were doing that tunnel project really beat up on that parking lot, so we're gonna replace that, resurface it. Monroe Street well pump, well house number 2, $55,000. All sorts of money put into those things. Prison lift station pumps. We have to do clean outs on our lift stations every couple of years. Nasty job, I'm glad I don't have to do that. DPW front entrance. One of the things I've asked all departments to do is to ensure the safety of the staff, especially the administrative staff in the front. Unfortunately, we can be targets, so I've asked them to improve that from a safety perspective. The Hunter Creek Mobile Home Park meter pit, that one's interesting. So apparently we have meters at all of the mobile home park, all the mobile homes. That is a significant amount of work for the city staff, and we're not obligated to do it that way. So what we're proposing here is that we install one master water meter at the front of the park, and then from there on it's the park's responsibility, not the city's responsibility. And I believe that's all. Yeah, I think that's everything. Happy to answer the questions, as boring as that was.
It's never boring. This is the 10th year for me.
I have a question.
Yes.
So
Questions?
what is the train depot, what's the 13,000 for?
I was afraid you were gonna ask that. I do try my best to pretend like I know what I'm talking about sometimes. Let me see if I can find it real quick. $13,000 train depot HVAC system.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh, we didn't some. Oh, yeah.
Could you kind of explain for the newer individuals, can you explain like the motor pool and how the vehicles and equipment kind of get
Paid for?
rented and, yeah, paid
Okay.
for?
Yeah, great question. So, the city has dozens of vehicles, wood chipper trucks, police vehicles, fire vehicles, lots of DPW, whatever, tons of vehicles. So that's all in something called the motor pool. And the state of Michigan gives a list of the types of vehicles and a suggested rental rate for that vehicle. So every single year, our staff uses those vehicles, and then the amount of time that they use those vehicles results in a rental fee that we pay back to ourselves as part of the motor pool. Those are then supposed to result in a dollar amount at the end of the life of that vehicle to then purchase the next vehicle. It never seems to work out that way. One big factor that's a pro or a con, depending on how you want to look at it, is snow removal each year. Because those snow trucks, if they're sitting idling in your barn and not being used because you don't have any snow that year, you don't actually get any money from them because you never rented them out. So at the end of a 10 or 20 year period, there's no money to replace it. It's very common for cities to infuse general fund dollars into the motor pool to help purchase vehicles. Or what you end up doing is increasing the motor pool rates from the state of Michigan to be artificially high, so that, when you do rent those things out to yourself, that you're paying more than it's probably worth, because it just doesn't work out that way.
And who has the laser pointer? Anyone?
I do not.
So if you go to the cemetery tree trimming and then follow that over, there's like an arrow that doesn't have a description.
Where, here?
Yeah. What is that?
Oh, good question. What is that? Let's see. Pine Street Engineering. Uh-oh, somebody's in trouble.
Well, I have a question that might go along with that, because the Court Street water main at the very top, is that Court Street? Because I think that might be a different street, and maybe Court Street goes with that arrow that's floating.
The streets are so small, I
Very
have no
well,
idea.
to be correct. And I actually did catch one earlier this year, so
I think it's First or Second Street up there.
Is it Boat Street, Court Street?
Part of Court Street
A lot of it's been redone.
You still have them all memorized?
He did them all, so that's what I memorized them, right?
We're looking up that dot.
Yeah, that might be one I'll have to go back to, take a look at and see why it's labeled that way.
Mr. Womack,
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, I think that Commissioner Brady has a point that is pointed right in the general vicinity of where Court Street would head towards in the north
Yeah,
of
I
town.
think you're right.
The arrow that it is pointing at looks more like First or Second Street on that side, that one neighborhood right there.
Yeah, and First and Second Street, as you know, was a project from last year, so that might have just been a copy and paste error. Well, so I think the important part being Court Street, not necessarily where the arrow is pointing. And let's see here. Improve Court Street from Park Street to North Street to include curb and gutter, paving, sidewalks, and drainage, is what I have.
North Street's the only, it's a dirt street, right?
Yeah, between Cedar and
Yep.
Court.
So I'll definitely make sure that they correct that image to point to the correct place where the, orphaned arrow is.
I do have a question about page 81. Page 81 is the pump track that was projected, but it's coming up to the 27-28 year. It says there's a park fund of $192,000 and 133. Are those funds still allocated for this project, or are those kind of up in the air? Are they just not there?
Yep, so, that's my knowledge, I don't have the exact dollar amounts. Is that in the first year of the marijuana excise tax, the then city commission allocated, I believe it was 1/3 to disc golf courses and 2/3 to the pump track.
Correct.
Since that time, there's been money expended on the Crampton Park disc golf course. And the remaining, or most of the remaining disc golf course money then was also allocated in the current budget year for expansion of disc golf course or a new disc golf course. That has not occurred. The remainder of that money was saved for a pump track, and as far as I know, has either not been touched or been touched for engineering costs through row as part of the pump track.
Okay.
Now, just from a historical perspective, you've got the Road and Park special access playground, which has been doing a lot of fundraising. And the main fundraising, or the main focus for paying for the pump track, as I understand it, was supposed to be fundraising. So I think those two groups got together and said, well, we'll fundraise after you're done fundraising. Now, of course, I don't know what the future of that's gonna be, but as far as I know, a significant amount of the money is still in that fund.
Good deal. That's just seeing if it's still allocated there. Thanks. Yeah. Any more questions?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Just because I wasn't sure being new, I've been on the planning commission for a year, but I'm still learning all the time. Because I wasn't sure why the CIP came before the planning commission. Obviously that's required. But required so that we filter it through the master plan. So just making the comment that, it's good to see that a good portion of this is going towards road improvement and infrastructure. And the only thing that I thought, the walkability of our city and the sidewalks we've done a lot with the paths, the bike paths, and obviously the tunnel path that's coming through and being finished. But on this CIP, we don't have that much allocated towards the walkability, non-motorized plan. But I'm assuming there's more down the road, things that are being planned, especially with the bridge and the traffic study being done on Genesee, and figuring out how to get people from that side of town to downtown. So just wanted to comment on that.
May I
Love that
respond a little bit?
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. So I'm not sure if the master plan requires this, it might be the Planning and Zoning Enabling Act. In any
Yeah,
case,
yeah.
you know, it's the tradition of the city that you guys review and make recommendations to the city commission. But, again, as you well know, the non-notarized plan is something that's gonna be taken care of as part of the master plan that you're gonna hear about next. That's something that we were able to obtain grant dollars for, and so the city has taken that very seriously. And so, Mr. Burko, I don't know if you know off the top of your head when the most recent non-motorized plan was, 2012. It's quite old, and so an update's definitely a necessity. But something just to keep in mind is that when we redo roads, a significant amount of the money we put into that is actually replacing sidewalks. Case in point is that bridge that we're actively working on right now, with the easements and plans and whatnot. I remember when I first started, we received a complaint at City Hall about there was a potential tripping hazard down on that bridge. So I went out and visited it, and the bridge pedestrian walkway was about 3 foot wide, not very wide, at least not by today's standards. And so I ordered the DPW guys to go out there and put some cold patch asphalt there to reduce the chances of the trip hazard, right? Well, as part of that bridge project, there's gonna be, I think, about a 10-foot pedestrian crossing on this bridge. So we're going from a 3-foot to a 10-foot, obviously it's gonna be brand new concrete. So, I guess I'm just saying, don't think it's just the $50,000 spent on sidewalks each year, it's all sorts of things. And this non-motorized plan is gonna help that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion? I would like to make a motion to adopt the FY 2026 to 2020, I would assume 27, to 31 to 32 capital improvement program as presented.
Mr. Chair, you recommend approval to the city commission?
Yeah. Well, no,
Was it just adopted?
it's a motion, no?
I didn't see their motions.
Yeah, it's just a motion.
Well, we'll go with whatever Kim said.
Support.
And we got a motion and support. Any more discussion?
Just want to be clear that the motion is being recorded to recommend to, or,
I believe the motion to the planning commission is to adopt it.
okay. All right.
That's the correct route, right? Okay. Got a motion and support. Any more discussion? Oh, that was a good one. Seeing none, we will vote with an aye. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Now, we have another glorious subject of our master plan. This is a good one, too. Wade, this is all you again, right?
Yes, it is. So not only does the planning commission get to review and decide on planning and zoning applications, another big part of the task of the planning commission is to update and review the city's comprehensive master plan. Every 5 years, it's a requirement that you review it to decide if there's been any changes in the community, et cetera, that need reflection and addition to the master plan. But also, there's an opportunity every 5 years to determine that you need to take a look at the whole thing holistically again, and that's where we're at with this master plan kickoff. Just by way of introduction of the team, you know me, I will be the overall project manager from Rowe, working with you all on this master plan update. You have Amy Bontempo, Brandon Jonas, and Railika Bogapati, also Rowe planners that will be primarily assisting behind the scenes. You probably will see them at some point during the process, but I am the overall project manager for the master plan component. Then we have Doug Schultz, Paul O'Meara, and Mike Carpenter, who will be working on the non-motorized master plan that was discussed just a second ago. And then Kelly Murdoch from Community Research Services is going to be conducting a housing study for the city. And what the end result is going to be is that there are going to be 3 separate plans that are all interrelated. The community master plan will reflect the goals and objectives of the housing plan, as well as the non-motorized master plan. So as part of the housing plan, they're gonna look at future housing trends, analyze demographic, supply and demand characteristics, and provide recommendations, direction, and documentation for successful housing development strategies based on type and location of future housing. The non-motorized master plan is going to reevaluate the vision of the city to promote pedestrian access in public spaces and draw citizens to the downtown area and other areas determined to be destination areas within the city itself. I've provided this PowerPoint to everybody on your dais. There are some things that I'd like you to think about, and we don't necessarily have to answer them tonight, but things like, how often do you use the current master plan? What do you like and dislike about it? What areas are lacking and should be paid specific attention to? We know housing and we know non-motorized segments of the community are two of those, but are there any others that in the current master plan it's just really needing to be looked at and analyzed and brought up with more data and conclusions and objectives and recommendations? Question number 5 is something that I'm going to task you all with tonight, but I will talk about that here in a little bit of time. But these are questions to think about. Happy to hear comments and questions tonight about them, but I don't expect that since you're just now seeing this for the first time right now. So as part of the overall community master plan, the Planning Enabling Act requires all municipalities in Michigan that has a zoning ordinance also have a community master plan. And we talked about it's to be reviewed at least every 5 years to ensure it remains relevant. And it's really a document that shapes development to match community goals. It's a document that helps secure funding and grant opportunities for projects. It's a document that will ensure orderly and sustainable growth and serve as a reference for zoning decisions and policy making throughout all aspects of the community itself. The biggest tool to implement a master plan is in fact your zoning ordinance. So a part of the master plan is going to be proposal of a zoning implementation plan, where we're going to make recommendations on certain areas of the zoning ordinance that should be looked at and possibly changed in order to implement the vision and goals of the master plan itself. So where we're starting today and after this kickoff is the first step is for us to identify current conditions to include land use, natural features, infrastructure, population characteristics, and economic characteristics. Your current 2021 master plan has a lot of this data in it already. This will be serving as an update to set the current condition standards to go forward. The next step is where do we want to go in the city, and we will, work through strengths and areas for improvement. Getting back to that question to think about, that's where this comes in, is where are areas of the plan that should be improved. We will take a look at all of the public engagement outcomes. I will get into public engagement in a second. And then start developing future goals, objectives, and tasks tied to a timeline as to how soon, if it's short range, you want to get this done within 0 to 3 years, mid-range 3 to 6. Anything over 6 is more of a long-term goal for the city. So public engagement options, right now in the proposal and contract we have with the city, we have proposed in the overall cost of things to provide a public attitude survey, which asks questions, kind of rank how you feel about accessory dwelling units. Is it something, we need to see more of in the city? So it's just kind of broad-based. It's a level of, buy-in, what the community values, or they do not value those things, so it sets the tone of what we will later on sort of pull out as goals and objectives for the city to achieve. So that is included. That is one of the first steps after tonight that we will start developing that survey for review and inclusion of any other questions that may need to be asked. Primarily, this slide highlights other public engagement options we can offer, but currently are not incorporated in the budget itself. We have the public survey, and then we have a master plan open house that's also incorporated into the existing plan. Now that master plan open house will include, not only the demographics and, the current conditions that I talked about, but they'll also be brought in with the non-motorized plan as well as the housing plan. So there's going to be a lot of different stations, a lot of different opportunities for public comment on all three of the plans at that meeting. What's the best way to get there? So sort of the third step, after we kind of review existing and current conditions and the public engagement comments, we're going to start to identify alternative approaches, analyze pros and cons of each alternative, and then redefine policies and objectives to implement the plan. That's where the future land use map discussion will come in, as well as the zoning implementation plan. So we'll start to identify what objectives the city has that it wants to accomplish sooner rather than later, and we'll kind of plot that all out and see what that looks like. So fourth step is let's get there. That's implementation of the new master plan. That could include zoning text amendments, looking at updating the Parks and Rec plan to identify the areas where non-motorized segments need to go, where they've been completed, so updating all of that. And then time we get to year 5, then we're sort of back at, we need to relook at the plan to see if anything's changed. So this whole process that I've outlined is planned to take 1 year. So all of this will, and we'll see the chart here in a second. So April of next year is sort of when we anticipate adoption of all 3 plans. So I'm not necessarily going to spend a whole lot of time on this one. It just shows the differences of the zoning ordinance versus the master plan. I get questions from communities quite often in terms of, well, the future land use plan should match the zoning classification districts. Well, that's not necessarily true. And then the zoning map and future land use map should be the same. Well, that's not necessarily true either. The zoning map is bound by law, your zoning ordinance regulations. Future land use maps, they are a guide to implement your zoning ordinance and vice versa. So they need to relate to one another, but your future land use map does not necessarily show this is zone B2. It's kind of like we talked about earlier, this is a general commercial area that the actual zoning might fit into. Statutory authority, roles and responsibilities. We're at step number 2. We're drafting or starting the master plan process now. One of the items that will occur within the next month, in addition to development of the survey questions, is that we are required to send out a letter, a notice to plan letter to the utilities school district, et cetera, and so forth, to let everybody know and surrounding jurisdictions that we are in the master plan process. Follow the process with us. We're going to correspond to your master plans as much as we can. We're going to review your plans to make sure things are not matching or developing in a way where you have residential single family next to, high industrial use in another jurisdiction. So this is the planned schedule. It's very small, I apologize. So essentially, we're kicking off now. The community survey will be within the next month. And then know that the housing plan and the non-motorized plan are really also kicking off at this point in time too. So they're going to get a little bit of a head start on the overall master plan because those plans are going to inform in the end the overall comprehensive master plan. So those two plans will get a head start. You see on this chart that we have the open house scheduled in November. That is going to move up by 2 months because we want that public input, public engagement to inform the plans as we're developing them, not towards the end of the process. So we want to get that public input sooner rather than later. But otherwise, that's the steps and sort of the timeline that we have set out. Again, wrapping up in April of 2027. So the task I have to ask for you tonight is the master plan is a document of the Planning Commission. Therefore, the Planning Commission has the overall, task of reviewing the documents, making changes, making revisions, input. You're going to be essentially the overall umbrella of all three plans. Now, what most communities do is they set up a master plan subcommittee or a steering committee that, if it's not a formal city board or commission, can be appointed by the Planning Commission themselves. And that's what this slide is talking about. 5 to 7 members who will be present and work efficiently to get the draft done. This is done because your agendas are already full, and we're trying to avoid having 2 hours of additional discussion on your regularly scheduled Planning Commission meetings to discuss the details of this overall plan, 3 plans that we're talking about. You do not have to do that. The Planning Commission can serve as the only committee. It's just that this subcommittee can meet during the day, can meet once a week, twice a week, however it's set up to get this plan advanced, where you all are only meeting limited times a month with other agenda items. Everything that this subcommittee would do would be reported back to you. You all have the final decision on what they recommend or what they're saying, so it can change. It's just a board that helps move the process along a little quicker. Again, I say 5 to 7 members. They can be a mix of new and old residents, diversity of opinions, diversity of experience. Can be members of the Planning Commission itself, City Commission, Zoning Board, the DDA, and any other residents and any other boards and commissions that the city has. Again, it would be an advisory committee to the Planning Commission, where state law does allow the Planning Commission itself to appoint the committee and its members. And just to note that if you all do agree and decide you want to set up this additional subcommittee, the non-motorized master plan would have its own separate subcommittee that are more in tune to parks and engineering and where things like that lie. So that is one of the bigger discussions I'd like to have with you tonight is If you want it to be just the planning commission, we can do that, or if you'd like to set up this subcommittee, then we can work together, maybe through Manager Womack, to come up with potential people that you would like to invite to serve on this board, and I can reach out to them to see if they're interested. So it would just be a matter of providing names as to who would like to serve on this. And I would recommend that, you know, there will be times where I would say we would probably want to meet weekly. As all this information is rolling in, we can get that information reviewed and dispersed more timely. But again, everything will come back to you for that final review and final decision making. And then that's just a follow-up review. So that in a nutshell is kind of where we're at. We are kicking off. We are starting to move forward. We need to get some of the fine details nailed down in terms of who we want to be the review board, if we want that subcommittee, or if we want the planning commission to serve in that role.
So this is all appointed, so we would choose that. Would it be better for us to throw out there and see if there's interest from another board members? And then make a group that way compared to nominating? I mean, at first and foremost, would anybody on this commission would like to chair that board?
I'm not raising my hand about that.
Yeah.
I have a question now. Yeah, I'm like, I'd be careful what I do there. So I guess I thought we were gonna just talk about whether we should do this committee or not first.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
That's
first?
kind of what well, if we don't, then it would come all before us. That's what I was
Right.
saying. So if we
Right.
were to go with the committee, would we reach out? So I guess, is that a yay or a nay? Okay.
Well, yeah, so my question is, obviously, for those of us that have been on here the first time around when we've done this, part of actually really understanding the master plan is actually having dialogue and understanding what it is. And I guess my only concern is that if we have this advisory committee that does all the detail work and, works a couple times a week, that's great. But then they bring back a product and we've not gone through the exercise of that process. Will we really have the opportunity to really kind of flesh out those ideas? I guess that's my only concern, is that I don't know if I'm really, I don't know if that would be the same process, and I don't know if we would get as much out of it as a planning commission when we're trying to decide what we should be doing with our master plan. So that's just my thought process.
In the past, if I was on part of that, I was on this board, and it didn't necessarily increase our meetings long, but say for instance, right now, we just got done with one, and now we're gonna go through some master plan stuff. We got another hour and 15 minutes of discussion.
Yeah, there were some meetings that were a couple of hours longer beyond a regular meeting, but not all of them.
Yeah, no, that's what I recall too, And Doug?
Yeah, so part of my thought frame here is because I like the direction that this is all going, it's becoming more and more procedural. I catch myself being not procedural. My concern is that if we have a subcommittee who doesn't truly understand how the master plan works, that we could go astray with the assignment. And so the fact that we have Mr. Womack and Mr. Hing sitting here, I think, as first as they are, and with some of you people that are sitting up here that have gone through this before, it'd be my concern that if we didn't have at least one of those individuals on a subcommittee, that this could go astray, because much like, you said earlier, like, I'm still in the process of figuring this out. I was not around for the first master plan, right? So it's discovery for me every time we meet, and I'm concerned that, like, for example, if I volunteered to be the chair, you have now put someone in place who may not necessarily understand how this needs to work, right? So that would be my biggest concern about a subcommittee.
Yes, Commissioner.
I think we work well together. So I think we should keep it within the planning commission. But I think we're gonna have basically an agenda of what we're going to discuss. I think at that time, prior to the next meeting of the board, we bring in people to the meeting that will have relevant information for us. If we're talking about downtown, bring in the DDA. If we're talking about zoning information, bring in the zoning board. You know, we'll have that ability.
To invite them,
So, excuse me, just to make sure that I understand this, are you talking about potential participants in a subcommittee for the next meeting?
No, I'm talking about resources brought in,
Okay,
rather than being a discussion about downtown and have a question that we don't have any answers for, have the answer here.
oh, yeah, okay.
So invite the subject matter.
Yeah, we're gonna be discussing it
Yes,
on the
and if they
stage.
choose, well, and quite frankly, if they choose to come.
Yes.
Yeah. Good, I like it. Mayor? You're like, oh. Good?
Oh, I have no comments.
Okay,
I like what I'm hearing.
good deal. Commissioner?
So I guess my question about the subcommittee is, who would be helping guide, like if there was a subcommittee, who would be helping guide it? As you stated that there might need to be weekly meetings.
Right, and I would be there, I would be the one guiding that through discussion.
So I guess my perspective is like, this is a master plan, so it should involve as many voices as possible. I have no problem with this subcommittee. As this would be the opportunity for the public to get more and more involved. And make recommendations from or to this board, correct? So they don't make any decisions, they just come up with recommendation under the guide of you.
Right. So
Maybe
they-
meet more periodically than we would,
Right,
so it helps the plan move faster,
that's correct.
more efficiently than.
I mean, you all are meeting once a month, whereas they could potentially meet 4 times a month or something. And we would get through the chapters and the existing conditions quicker in terms of evaluating all of that. And then you all would have the final review of all that information and discussion and,
So I guess if we did want to go with a subcommittee, I would rather open it up to the public rather than board members that we have currently, just to get a different perspective.
sure.
But I wouldn't want it filled with all the same age group, you know, like there'd have to be pretty diverse. And I don't know if that's achievable, you know, I don't know if that's an achievable thing or.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So, I tend to agree with Mr. Adwood that the subcommittee can do a lot of the heavy lifting on the minutiae type details that, you know, would take a significant amount of time with this board on a once-a-month basis. You know, and then they could bring that work in a more refined fashion back to this board for final approval. The only thing I would caution on is trying to recruit the public for something like this can be difficult. Might want to start with people more already aligned with the government, such as the board members. Not that there's any reason members of the public couldn't serve, just it's a little difficult to, in the time frame we're talking about, recruit those people. And there certainly will be opportunities for the public to be heard and be part of the process as well. But as far as the subcommittee, that might not be the first best step.
And I did have another
Yeah.
question. This is about the community survey. Do you know if there's a survey that will be going to the schools, like all the different age groups?
There would just be the one survey. We can include questions that target age groups.
I just think a lot of times like this, like the city's adults tend to plan for the youngins, and we might miss the mark on what they actually want or desire. And I would just wanna have that, like we're doing the youth, board or whatever it is that we're paying extra for. But just to get that, you know, their opinion, as it says, like a master plan, so think we need opinions from all age groups. Whether or not we, you know, that, you never know, there might be a little Einstein out there that thinking something we're not.
Yeah, that's something definitely we can work into the survey, and, you know, I mean, there's always opportunity to visit a class or something and do an exercise with them as well.
I'm pretty indifferent on the subcommittee. I mean, I can take it both ways. I have been a part
Yeah,
of,
I'm not-
I have been a part of both, well, I have been a part of a subcommittee. The only thing is I personally cannot be that. That's just, that, there's no physical way I would be able to do it. So if it was a subcommittee, then somebody would have to chair it up and.
That was my, really, I
Yeah.
think you kind of touched on it. I said it differently, but yeah, I think we need the right people kind of leading maybe how that, you know. So.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burkholder, I understand that you said earlier that you don't need an answer today, but it's something that you need us to start thinking about. Can we circle back around to this
Yeah,
at the next meeting?
absolutely.
The other thing that I do have a few questions though regarding it. I'm looking at your bullet points, and if we go the subcommittee route, I do like how you've laid this out. 5 to 7 members, not a formal board or commission. You know, you want good diversity here, a mix of old and new residents, members from the planning commission, city commission, CBA, DDA, residents, others, that kind of stuff. What do you need from us by the next meeting if we decide to go this route? How do you need those recommendations? Because you had stated that you will reach out to these individuals and try to form or put this together based on commitments, correct?
I'm happy to do that. It doesn't have to be me. I mean, if you all know the community much better than I do, I mean, I'm certainly open to you all reaching out. What I would look for is to bring back at the next meeting, maybe a group of people that we can throw out there
Mm-hmm.
and start contacting to see if they're interested.
Right.
Who does that? Who doesn't? It's not as important to me as kind of getting a list of people that might be good members to serve.
Okay.
So,
Okay, very good. And I think also, if there are charter provisions or any state law that you can refer to in terms of requirement and considerations that we need to follow in order to make those recommendations and kind of form this. So if you have any relevant citations that you can send to us through Ms. Hodge.
Sure.
Between now and the next meeting, so that we can make some considerations on our own and come back to the next meeting informed enough to possibly make a motion and take action on this.
And, you know, I say that it doesn't, we can wait till next meeting. There are things that we'll still be doing,
Mhm.
you know, developing the survey and doing that notice to plan. So, you know, next meeting would be fine to talk again.
Okay.
There's a lot of community leaders in this room, and I think you can get a good feel if anybody wants to be a part of that board, and if you have any ideas with them, definitely keep that in mind to bring that up for discussion of next meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm gonna circle us back to those few questions at the beginning. Again, don't need to discuss it tonight, but we will come back to those once we start getting further into it, so I can understand if something's not working, I need you to tell me what's not working, and so we can kind of look at that in more detail as well, so.
Well, we use the master plan every meeting.
Yep,
So,
yep.
there's one. Check. All right, are we there on the master plan kickoff presentation? Good deal, thank you very much for your work on that one. Correspondence are as presented in front of you. Any questions or conversation about those? You got one? You're about to say it. Go ahead. Forever hold your peace.
I was just gonna ask Hobby Lobby, but is there like
Their interior plans, I believe, floor plans were approved by the building department this week. We're looking at their facade, and they've submitted their zoning permit.
Oh. Found it.
Wrong lever. And then the car wash, is that still, is
There's
that
nothing
like
on it, and neither
in
has the
the
property
air?
owner.
Same thing from since we approved.
Yep, and then I see that Aspen Dental went up really quick. How'd they do that?
They paid them.
It's like you blink and it was there.
Oh, right, look, we got training up here. I'm sorry, was there any more discussion on correspondence? I didn't mean to cut anybody off. No? Okay, on to training.
There are a few things coming up this month through the Michigan Planning Association. How to streamline the development review process is a virtual seminar coming up on the 14th. And we have the Infrastructure Resiliency Summit in Dearborn. That's an in-person, April 17th. And then I want to bring attention to the National Planning Conference, which is being held in Detroit this year. And that's primarily a Saturday-Sunday event, but there are some sessions that are carried over into the first of that next week, which would be the 27th, 28th. It's usually 1,000 to 2,000 people that attend that national conference from all over the country. They bring a lot of good perspective from other jurisdictions and communities that we can all learn from as well. But those are some opportunities coming up, if anybody would like to go to.
And there is a budget for that if there's cost, correct? Or is it only,
There's,
okay.
I believe that is stated in the budget
There is some money in the budget, but wouldn't be enough to send 9 people to.
No.
to the national.
So don't all go at once. All right. This might be back to other business. I just wanted to address this just so I know what my, so in order for us to rezone that property that was in question today, what has to happen for that to come to us? Can we address that? I mean, can we make a motion to go to the city commission? I mean, how can we do that? I mean, I think we're all on a very good, almost level field on what route we want to go on. I just kind of want, there's no reason to prolong something that if we already kind of know where we want to go.
They can apply for a rezoning, but we're going to get back to that same question as to what is the future land use plan for. So I think it either has to go in conjunction with one another, or the master plan needs to go first to determine what that land use is for that particular.
So we can't decide the future land use? I thought that was our decision.
They would have to apply for a
Oh.
map, a master plan, future land use map revision,
Mhm.
along with their rezoning, which could go forward before this full.
So,
So they would do both at the same time.
so if not, essentially it's a year down the road.
Yes.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I think, just to piggyback on what you're getting at with your question, Mr. Burkholder, I do believe the property owners will be reaching out to you tomorrow. And that's probably within the scope of the conversation that you're planning on having, correct?
That's right.
Okay,
That's
very
what-
good.
yes, that would
All
be
right.
the-
It's very reassuring to hear it so that, you know,
But in the meantime, the denial tonight would still go forward.
Yeah, of course.
It's just- It'll
Right.
be a new process for them.
yes, thank you.
Okay, good deal. That clears it right up
Mhm.
for me. Thank you very much. All right, I guess we'll go to commissioner comments. Commissioner Verdi,
No comment. Thank you.
Commissioner Patterson.
I'd like to say thank you to everyone, and Kim, good luck.
Commissioner, are you good?
Your next one?
Commissioner Atwood.
Well, I too would like to echo Commissioner Patterson's congratulations. You've done a lot of great work for our city and I appreciate it.
Commissioner Johnson.
Well done, Kim. Well done. Am I hearing right that we're gonna hire a city planner? That's,
There was a job advertisement out for a community and economic development director.
okay,
Take that for what you will.
okay. Awesome. That's all I got.
Commissioner Bostic?
I didn't know that this was your last meeting tonight, so I just want to say that when I came back to the city of Lapeer in 1997, I got on the zoning board pretty quickly after that, and Kim was there. And you are an instrumental support to this city, and all those things that happened couldn't have happened without you. And we're gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you because you've just been really, you've been awesome. I don't know what else to say. I won't make you cry, but, okay.
Vice Chair Robert?
Yeah, just a couple things. I want to first of all say thank you to the people from the public that showed up tonight. I'd like to see this room full because I hope you're getting a kind of taste of what we're trying to accomplish up here, and your input means a lot to me. So I appreciate that. And then, back to Kim, I wasn't aware either, so congratulations on that. And I will have to tell you that whenever everyone thinks I know everything about the city, now I'm on the planning commission. The fact is I don't. And so I say, if you have questions, go see Kim Hodge. So I'm sorry, and congratulations at the same time. I can't stress enough, you're the glue to all of this, and that's been that way in my 5 years on the planning commission, so congrats.
Mayor Hing?
Yep. Similar, I'll echo a lot of the sentiment tonight. Thank you to the public. Lots of great engagement. And also thank you and best wishes to you, Kim. Thank you for all of your years of service. And when is your last day?
My last day is May 14th, and I have been to almost every planning commission meeting since 1994. And it's actually been the most interesting part of my job over 35 years. And I think this board is a very important board with a lot of influence in this city, and they make a lot of hard decisions and not always popular decisions. And I hope you all keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim, for your service.
And thank you, Kim, through your kind words over the past years. Quite frankly, you've kept me up on this board multiple times, just with life, throughout the years of knowing you. I'll stop by and say hi from time to time if you're over there. But thank you for your 35 year up to this city. It's
Yes, and I'm not going anywhere,
Yeah.
so if anybody has any questions or needs information, my successor will have my contacts,
Yeah.
Mike obviously will have my contacts, and I will still be available to, for input.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I truly appreciate that. One thing that happened tonight that I just wanted to point out is we had an applicant come in front of us, but they said a couple good things that maybe the public doesn't really realize. It's not up to us to say that we're getting a Menards. It's not up to us to say they're doing market studies. Okay, so that's just one thing I just always want to clear out there. It's all about market. If it does not work in a market, nobody's going to come in and put a business there if it doesn't work. They're the ones investing in the marketing of it. So like when you go through their threads on our community boards and I want this, why doesn't the planning commission do it? Because I'm not the marketer, I'm not the lot owner.
I may have mentioned that a few times.
But no, I thought it was a good thing, now hopefully they have guidance to come back to us with a very good plan, in my opinion. It just maybe just a little bit of refining. But to end it all, Kim, thank you. This is all, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Yeah. So how many total meetings is it? Don't even worry.
12 times 35.
35.
Yeah. Did you miss any?
It's like 400 plus, so.
I was on a streak there though.
Moving to adjourn, right?
Yeah, I did make a meeting for
The gavel.
Yeah, I did. I remember one time I went like a 5-year streak without missing one, and then I just had to.
Yeah, not very many.
I I need to let Jude.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't wanna touch that thing.
I saw that too. Oh, another thing, everybody
Did you get my text?
I always forget that. I'm like, I think yours is only.
Tim, I'm letting you know right now, I'm not gonna be.
Madison, you might have some.
Somebody lost.
Who's gonna count?
I won't be here.
Well, good for you.
Alright, here we go.
Emergency contact or whatever.
450, 550.
Let me just.
650. All right, that's the big bill, so write down 650 for now.
Oh.